understand you raised with the chief administrator also?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, he's not in today. You're the regional chair. Just may I can help you?
Who are you?
I'm Steve Davis, the acting director of Human Resources.
Okay, nice to meet you, Steve.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Peter Ryder with Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're here because we're just we all live in the region, and we're just tired of what's happening. Like, you know, we were kind of joking. You have an outstanding award for joint labor management, and that's not. I noticed that's 2011. Sure as heck isn't 2012 because the strike is going on and on and on.
Right.
And enough's enough. Like, what's happening at the table?
Well, obviously I'm not in a position to speak to the bargaining process that's ongoing.
Well, but it's affecting the citizens. So where does that forum happen? Where do the citizens have an opportunity to express their views that this has gone on long enough?
Well, you're welcome to obviously the local media, or do you speak to your regional councillor?
Yeah, well, we can't elect a regional chair. We know that.
Right, but that's not really germane to this issue, though.
It is, because, well, who's ultimately in charge of the bargaining on the regional side? That's, I guess, the question. Like, who is accountable? Who like, you know,
as I'm sure you know,
in a democracy, the buck has to stop
Sure,
somewhere.
as I'm sure you know, regional council ratifies the agreement just as the union does.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay.
This is, like, because there's been no information. There's been, like, you know, the people on Ontario Works are left completely vulnerable. They're being used as pawns in this thing. And now we understand that there's other groups coming in, Public Works and Trans Health, I've now heard.
We're in bargaining with a number of bargaining units at the moment, yes.
Is there any bargaining going on at all? I'm sorry, my name's Chuck Atkinson. I'm president of the Machinists Union here in Toronto. So we have about 40,000 members that work at the airport here, and a lot of them have spouses that work in this region, and some of them that are on strike.
Okay.
So the information that I'm getting is that you guys aren't talking to them at all.
That's not accurate. We have
locked out.
Human Services are on strike, certainly. We have bargaining scheduled over the next few days with each of the units whose contracts are currently up.
So you have bargaining scheduled now?
Yes.
Like, coming up?
Yes.
But there hasn't been any discussions in the past couple of weeks?
We have bargaining dates scheduled with each of the three groups whose contracts are currently up. So
coming up, like starting.
Imminent.
When was the last bargaining session?
Would have been when we had the tentative agreement, and then the union took it back to ratification.
And there's been nothing since?
With Human Services.
With Human Services.
Bargaining.
We've had ongoing bargaining with the other group. Yeah.
But Human Services like 3 weeks or 2-3 weeks.
You'd have to double check the date. That
But it's been a while. Like, yeah, you have to think back.
It's probably been a couple of weeks, close to.
So, like Sean says, we're here to express our concern that this is not going well. It seems to be from the messages that I'm getting from my members is that they're asking for concessions from the Human Services Group, that they're not asking for concessions from other people for the same kind of stuff. So it seems like, and realistically what I see is it, or what's being portrayed is that you have a group of women who are supposedly like second wage earners that are being run over.
I can tell you that I saw MPP Singh's interview on CP24, and I understand the union is positioning this as a gender issue. That is not our position at all. Certainly it's a bargaining process that we're entering into with CUPE and not just with Human Services.
So Cope getting his 2% and the workers not getting their 2% is not a gender issue.
Well, it's not an apples-to-apples comparison, is it? I mean,
well,
we have
it should be,
though.
That
are bound by terms of collective agreement.
I guess it's not an apples-to-apples thing when you make $200,000 a year, and then instead you get people that are just barely getting by.
I understand. I've seen it on the QP website. I've seen the executive
and which leads me to why am I being handed? Well, thank God they handed this to me. I want to know why I cannot elect my regional chair. When am I going to be allowed to elect my regional chair in my region?
So that's a fair
Where
question.
do I live? What is your answer? I'd like to know your answer.
Well, my answer is I can't answer that question.
Well,
I don't work
that's
in
not good
legislative
enough.
services.
Speak
I don't
to
work
somebody.
in
I want a
clerks.
vote. I want a vote.
Well, that's fair. I would suggest you take that up with your
That's
counselor.
criminal. I live in a democratic country.
Yes, you do.
Except I live in Peel, which is communist. Is that how it works?
Well, I'm not in a position
needs
to
to be
discuss the
corrected.
electoral process for the regional chair.
There is no electoral.
Yes, there is.
Well, why is
Currently,
he
the regional chair
appointed?
is elected by council.
But that's
No,
not the
but
people.
I live in Peel.
I understand.
Not only the council.
Right.
So can I be on council?
That's the current process. That's a matter for review by council, and you certainly
So
should
when's it
bring that
going to-
concern to your counselor.
Has there been any discussion about this? Because we understand.
I can't speak to the council side of things. I'm a staff member. I'm not involved in council. I'm not a council member. I can't speak to council procedures or rules and regulations. I encourage you to take that up with your
You
council.
live in Peel?
I do.
Doesn't this bother you?
I'm entitled to my own opinion as you are to yours.
Well, I'd like to know your opinion.
Well, I keep my own counsel,
You
but
can't
thank
say
you.
anything.
So, gentlemen and lady, your concerns are duly noted. I do encourage you to put them in writing, and we're happy to give them every due consideration. On the subject of the election of the chair, I encourage you to speak to your councillor. I don't know what more I can do for you at this point. I can tell you that we are entering into a resuming bargaining. We have dates scheduled with Human Services and Public Works and Trans Health.
Are you saying the bargaining is starting this week?
There is bargaining scheduled, and I would leave the QP to communicate to their members, but I can definitely tell you the bargaining is scheduled.
Yeah, but you need to communicate to the people as well, because there's been a vacuum of any communication on this whatsoever with the people in Ontario Works. Pretty much left in the middle here at this point.
Well, unfortunately, because of the nature of the relationship, we're relying on QP to keep their members informed.
Yeah, but the public though, you represent.
Absolutely, I do.
You represent
and
the
I've
region.
been-
Like this is a dual situation because you have unionized workers that live in the region. So if the message from the region is we just simply depend on the union for communications, that's fine.
Oh no, we've been communicating with the media and giving.
But not to the public. Like there's been very little about this. There's been very little mentioning about the fact that you want to go to the table. We couldn't even remember when we were last at the table because it's been weeks.
With all due respect, our collective bargaining process is between the employer and the union.
But at the same time, though, it is impacting the people in the community.
I
And there's
understand
been
your
zero protection. There's been, in my view, there's been no impetus whatsoever to even try to resolve the issue. It's almost like it's trying to starve them out.
I don't believe that's an accurate characterization.
Well, that's the characterization that we can see. And the thing is, can you remember when you last time bargained?
Last time we bargained was when we had a tentative agreement which the executive agreed to take back to the union for ratification. The members chose not to ratify.
Which
We
means
have
you
not
go back to
bargained
the,
since.
but with the
And
standard protocols, you go back to the table after that
And we
to
are
try to
going back to the
resolve it
table.
2 weeks later or 3 weeks later.
I think it's about 2, but yes, we are going back to the table.
Yeah, so weeks later.
Okay, well, and that, because that's not what the message that we're getting from the members of 966 that are, the wives and the spouses of the members that I represent at the airport. So
I
I
understand.
guess there's some miscommunication there, which hopefully we'll take back to them and make sure that we've got assurances that there's going to be
I
bargaining
can
started
absolutely
again
guarantee
soon.
that bargaining is happening very soon. It's scheduled, and we'll be sitting down at the table with each of the 3 groups that we have
To
coming.
resolve this, so you can maybe get a new trophy for 2012?
I can't speak to that. I don't give out that trophy, but hopefully so. We can reach
Well,
out.
I don't know if you're not on par with it right now.
Well,
like,
I can tell you, I'm optimistic, and we are committed to a fair and equitable settlement. An
one that
agreement that the
Eugene,
union is
one
happy
that
with, and that we are happy with.
one that Emil Kolb himself would accept, because he doesn't
Well,
like concessions,
as you-
by judging by his pay
As you
package.
know, council has to ratify the agreement, as do the union membership.
Right.
Okay,
The
well,
unelected chair has to ratify.
Again, the matters of political process and the election of the chair, I have to defer to council. I'm not an elected representative.
But that
I'm
is,
not a
but that's,
councillor.
but that's a large part of where this problem comes from. Is there's no accountability through traditional. If you've got an unelected boss in charge of a political institution, this is a dictate. Like there's authoritarian tendencies.
But
There's
council
arrogance.
rules. It's a democratic process within council. You elect your council.
Yeah, but we're not a monarchy. We don't
No,
need.
we're not
Peel
a
doesn't
monarchy.
need its own queen.
Right.
Hazel's enough, And this guy, we don't even know what he does except simply create labor problems.
So, as I've said, I'm not in a position to speak to the status of council. or the
But
status
you can
of election
pass
of
on
the
a
chair.
message
Oh,
from us
absolutely will,
because
and
he's
I'm
not
very
around.
happy to receive the
and he
concerns in
can
writing.
look at that too.
Okay, I will take that on board.
Because I understand Durham is now moving to an elected regional council chair.
Okay.
That was just happened. Ajax just approved it, so it's going through.
Okay.
And I really think we have to start changing some of the stuff around in the region because this is
I
this is an
understand your
important
concern.
region, And I know Kolb talked about reducing poverty,
Yes,
But
that's
you
one
don't-
of the chair's priorities. Yeah.
but you don't do that by asking the workers to deliver the services to take concessions when he himself is not. That's hypocrisy.
I understand your concern. I do encourage you to put them in writing. I can assure you that we're returning to the bargaining table. I don't know what more I can tell you at this point.
Okay. Well, we'll be watching.
I hope you could tell us that it'll be returned to a situation where you're bargaining in good faith, and myself as a citizen isn't embarrassed to potentially think it might be a gender issue, that it is easier to walk over the ladies, and that I feel good as a citizen of this country and this community. I hope that you return to the table and make us feel like that.
I hope we do too. That's
Yes.
absolutely our priority, is to continue the services we provide and without disruption to our most vulnerable segment of the community, and to reach a fair and equitable settlement that the union is happy with, that we're happy with, and that works for the taxpayers' appeal. That's absolutely our priority.
That's what we want.
That's what
Okay.
we want.
That's
Fair enough.
and that the Ontario Works, the people on Ontario Works are happy too, because this
Well,
is
that's what I say.
this is what it's
Yeah,
about.
it's definitely
You know, like
yes.
you cannot reduce poverty by attacking the workers who deliver the services. That's not a poverty reduction strategy.
I understand there's been a characterization this is an attack on women. It is not a gender
No, but I'm
issue.
talking about the people on Ontario Works as well.
The recipients of Ontario Works
Yes,
benefits?
absolutely.
Okay, fair enough.
Because the thing is they're forgotten, and you know the people who deliver the
Hold
services.
on. They're not forgotten.
They're
We're maintaining services to child care subsidy, housing subsidy, and recipients of Ontario Works benefits. Those issues have
But
not
the support, the
forgotten.
people who deliver the services are out on the street right now.
Absolutely they are.
And that is where the issue has to stop, because these people depend on their service providers. They're the
And
professionals.
the
who
way to
do it.
resolve that issue is to come back to the bargaining table, both
Exactly.
parties, and enter into a fair agreement.
So
I
and then-
think
and
we're in
win
agreement.
another crystal plaque there.
Well,
Can we get a picture of that?
Yeah, I'm going to get one before we
To
leave.
be honest with you,
Pardon me?
I don't even know what you're referring
Oh,
to be
check it
honest.
out. This is great. 2011
That's-
United Way Outstanding Public Sector Joint Union Management Campaign.
Excellent.
Regional Municipality Appeal and QP Local 966.
I think that speaks to the partnership between the union and the employer in raising funds through United Way.
And that's why we need another one for 2012.
But this is about United Way.
Exactly. But
Yep.
that shows the work that is being done between the two when they work together.
Now, you see, that shows a partnership between management and the union.
And that's what
And
he's
I'm hoping
that's what
that's-
Okay, hold on. Like, notice this eventually.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Steve Davis?
Steve, and he's